of them doing this where they have a movie that's supposed to come out last year in limited release, but it's not until the next year that most people can see it. Just get tired of that shit. And I'm tired of trying to justify and trying to figure out which year and which list to put it on. So no. This movie, it just came out, in my opinion, on Amazon Prime in January. It's going on the 2021 list. Mini rant over. It is time to get into the movie review. Today I'm talking about One Night in Miami, which is directed by the one and only Regina King. And like I said, it is being released on Amazon Prime Video, I think January 15th, so that's coming up in a few days. This is also a screenplay written by Kemp Powers. It's based on a stage play of the same name. I feel like I messed up his name in my Soul review, and now it's kind of coming back to bite me in the ass because now I know his name is Kemp Powers. So yeah, kudos to you, brother. So I wrote their names down to make sure that I didn't mess anybody up. This film stars Leslie Odom Jr., Kingsley Ben-Adir, Eli Goree, and Aldous Hodge. They are portraying four of the most iconic and powerful and famous black men in the history of the world, in the history of our community. Cassius Clay, or as he was called back in the day, Cassius Clay. The world knows him as Muhammad Ali. Malcolm X, who is played by Kingsley Ben-Adir. You've got Aldous Hodge, who is portraying Jim Brown, one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. Leslie Odom Jr. is portraying Sam Cooke. Oh, and Eli Goree is the one portraying Cassius Clay. It's essentially a fictional what-if type of story that takes place on one night in the mid-60s in Miami after Cassius Clay defeats Sonny Liston. The film follows these four brothers, these four friends, as they kind of sit around and talk about the civil rights movement and the actions and steps that need to be taken during that time. Just give Regina King her flowers. This woman is an absolute queen. I love this movie and I love her direction in this film. Obviously, you never know how a first-time director is going to fare in their first foray behind the camera. And Regina King, obviously, she's an immensely talented actress. She's been around for a long time now. Still fine as hell and apparently still making great pieces of art because she was great in this movie. This is basically the Illmatic of directorial debuts. I'm so excited to see what else she does in the future because of her work in this movie. Now, because this movie was kind of built on the back of a stage play, some parts of the film do feel like it was designed to be as part of a stage play. There's a very limited sense of location and setting in this movie. A large portion of this movie takes place in and around this hotel in Miami. She makes such great use of the location and the setting and such great use of the camera work to really emphasize all of the great stuff that's going on between these men. She does an excellent job with the blocking of her shots, the way that she's able to use overhead shots and mirror shots to kind of really reflect the characters, the turmoil and the mentality that they're feeling at the time. She's able to do a lot of clever things with the camera work with these men as they go in and out of rooms, in and out of each other's eyesight, that really lends to a lot of different perspectives. A movie where like 80% of it is about these men that are kind of just lounging and walking and sitting around this hotel arguing about stuff. You would think that that might get stale or that might get old, but it's a testament to Regina King's direction that that's never the case in this movie. A lot of that is also helped by the fact that she brings out truly great performances from all of these actors in this movie. In a movie like this, where all of these actors are portraying people that are so famous and so iconic and everybody knows who they are, I kind of was looking for performances where they kind of disappear into the characters they're portraying. I'll give you an example from that shitty Tupac movie from a few years ago. The guy that portrayed Tupac in that movie, yes, he looked a lot like Tupac, and I can't even say that he didn't sometimes act like Tupac, but that's kind of the point to me. He felt like somebody that looked like Tupac who was just acting like Tupac. Sometimes in roles like this, we want actors to disappear into their characters completely so that all I see is that character and I don't see the actor anymore. That was the case for all of the actors in this film. Everybody disappeared into their characters. Eli Goree was great as Cassius Clay. Kingsley Ben-Adir, phenomenal job as Malcolm X. Same thing for Leslie Odom Jr. He knocked it out of the park as Sam Cooke, and also I did not know the guy could sing like this, and he has actually a beautiful voice. He's not Sam Cooke, but he's pretty damn good. Obviously, Aldous Hodge, very versatile and underrated actor. He does a great job as Jim Brown too. These are some tremendous performances, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of these actors are up for awards consideration. After all, this is one of those award bait type of movies. I would say the thing that captivated me the most about this movie is these black men and the dialogue that was written for them, and the scenes where these men are kind of debating and talking about things that are still very relevant, still very important to the black community even today. I'm just sitting there listening to these characters talk, and I'm like, okay, you know what? You're making a great point, and I see what you say, but then somebody else might say something. Then I'm looking at them like, holy shit, you know what? You're I can't disagree with you either. It's like, damn, everybody's right. There's a lot of issues that are discussed in this movie, like I said, that relate to today that we're still talking about. Colorism is mentioned in this movie, Black empowerment, racism and white supremacy, obviously. Black identity is also a big thing that is tossed around in this movie. The idea that once a Black person makes it from our community and makes it to a position of affluence and power or whatever, how do they disseminate that power? Like, how do they distribute it, and how do they use that power to empower the rest of their community? What's the point once you reach that level of status and power? Do you lose some part of yourself along the way? Is it okay to compromise who you are as a man, specifically as a Black man, as long as you get to the position where you're in a position to help out the rest of your community? Like, that idea is definitely tossed around a lot in this film. I was hanging on everybody's words. I was so enthralled by the performances, by the direction, and how she's able to take a movie that feels so small and yet make it feel so big, so important. The only real issue I can say with the movie is, I don't know, for people that might get bored of seeing people argue and discuss things, like, I don't know, maybe you might feel like there's no plot to the movie. There's nothing really that's pushing the story forward. It's just four men that come together and they're discussing their role in the civil rights movement. For some people, that might get boring after a while. I don't see how it could get boring, but hey, do you. If you feel it's boring, I can't help you with that. I don't really have that big a problem with this movie. I'm kind of straining to look for issues, actually. One Night in Miami was a kick-ass directorial debut from Regina King, and this one deserves the highest praise on my channel, Superman Prime. Tell me, are you excited to see it, and what other films coming up in the month of January and February are you most excited to see? Put that in the comment section down below. Stay tuned for more videos. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.